Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for your time, for being here. Hello, Kristina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's absolutely a pleasure to be with you today. All of you who are joining us now, welcome. Kristina and I are both super excited to be here with you today because we have such an interesting topic. It's called the language of emotions. Now, Kristina and I are going to introduce ourselves quickly to those of you who don't know us and to tell you a little bit more about what you can expect from the next hour from us. So, Kristina, go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Kristina Cubrillo Santos. I'm actually a doctor of acupuncture, and I'm so happy to be doing this presentation with my dear friend Ana, who I've known for many, many years. And we met in high school, actually. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I am currently based out of New York City. I practice acupuncture. I'm also a licensed massage therapist and a lecturer at a college. So I love to be involved with Chinese medicine because I started by studying Chinese language in high school. And so this is where Ana and I, we have this amazing love for languages. And that's what we will be presenting today, a different type of language, the language of emotions, which is very, very heavily tied in Chinese medicine.
We both share the same passion. It's for learning languages, which is the reason we both studied Mandarin Chinese back in high school times. But after that, and a bit later in our life and then in career, I discovered a passion for developing people through HR, corporate training and coaching. And Kristina found that through what she's doing now, helping people with traditional Chinese medicine, with acupuncture, being a yoga trainer as well, and in many other super interesting ways. Today, Kristina mentioned we have a quick presentation on understanding emotions. Why? Because it is at the core of what we both do. Me being an emotional intelligence coach and Kristina being a doctor, she will be talking more about the mind and body connection and emotions in our bodies. And I will start taking you through this topic by giving you some very basic information about what are emotions, how we see them in emotional intelligence, and what we can do when we have overwhelming emotions sometimes. All right, so I will share my presentation with you. Welcome again. You can have your papers and pen if you want to jot something down. We'll have some questions for you, or to write down questions that you might be having for us later on. We will talk about basic emotions, what's emotional intelligence, and 5 elements and emotions in the TCM that Kristina will take us through. And I'm very happy that we can begin. So where I am, first of all, I'm based in Dubai, and I've been living here for the past 10 years or so. And I founded a couple of years ago an employee educational program that's called HR and Wellbeing, which is dedicated to helping people who are working in modern workplaces to navigate all those challenges using their emotional intelligence, emotional skills, resilience. So I have special interest in applying emotional intelligence at work.
I love that, Ana. I really love the work that you're doing. And I'm really happy to share about, my work as well, because it's very similar, even though it's through the lens of Chinese medicine. So as I said, I'm based out of New York City. I'm an educator, I'm a trainer, I'm a mentor. I'm also a founder of Tao Dharma Method, where I guide people one-on-one through at least a 3-month journey that encompasses not just the physical health, but emotional health and wellness, which is a major part in Chinese medicine. And so I'm really helping people discover their true potential by using classical acupuncture, spiritual teachings, and mind training. And mind training is really through the realm of meditation, which we will actually do a little meditation later on in the presentation. So yeah, as Anna mentioned, psycho-emotional health is extremely important in the work environment, and in my work with people I see the benefits of also educating people on emotions and emotional intelligence.
Well, to begin with, I would like to start with a question to all of you. As you're listening to us, can you think of the latest 3 emotions or feelings that you experienced? Latest meaning from perhaps this morning or yesterday. What would be your 3 latest feelings that you have experienced? And can you label them? Can you name them? While doing so, you might notice, at least some of you might notice, that naming and labeling your emotions can be a little bit challenging for some and a little bit tricky. And there are a couple of reasons for that. But partially it's because we are living in society where most of us have been told and learned to either put feelings aside, or because we're used to speaking about our emotions in more general terms, such as saying, I'm okay, I'm fine, when asked, how are we feeling? And fine is not an emotion. So we haven't really developed our emotional vocabulary to talk about our feelings. And it is important first step in understanding what are our emotions, what are the feelings that we all have. So what are they? What are emotions? Now, we do experience them, but are they only in our brains or not? Where do we experience them? By one of the definitions, emotions are neurochemical signals that flow through the brain and body carrying emotions to us. And emotions are always present regardless of whether we are aware of them, whether we can name them or not. And it's helpful to think about your emotions as of data. Think of your emotions as information, if you can, because they are information to you, telling you and carrying messages about the people in your world and your world in general. They're always telling us something and they have a purpose. They are primarily produced in our brains, right? But this is not where we feel them. We can experience them in our whole bodies. And Kristina will talk more about that. And shortly you will see how it's so. So we'll speak more on that mind-body connection. And this is why we want to really learn how to understand our emotions instead of choosing to push them aside. Every time they don't feel good, we need to learn their language. In emotional intelligence, we like to approach emotions as neither good or bad. It's just emotions are data, and we all have emotional intelligence. So what is it? It is our innate capacity, innate abilities, and it's rather a skill set than one single skill. So if you ask me what's emotional intelligence, I could name you a couple of different skill sets and competencies. So now if you're listening and wondering, I might stop sharing here for a moment. So if you are listening to us now and wondering, okay, I understand that emotions are data, emotional intelligence is something that we all have to different levels. I understand, but I still don't understand my emotions and I don't know what to do with them, especially when they're overwhelming. So what I could tell you is to try one thing first. If you're new to this concept of emotional intelligence and really trying to grasp it as quick as possible, try practicing not to see your emotions in good or bad categories, because this is not how we approach them in emotional intelligence. Just try to understand them first and to name them. Let's say you're arguing with somebody and you notice that you're getting upset, you can feel it in your body, stay with that emotion for a moment. Try to name it. Try to name all those emotions, whether you're worried, annoyed, agitated. Try to see if you can find the right word for how are you feeling, instead of saying, oh, I'm stressed right now, instead of going general. And then try to see where you feel that in your bodies, because we carry emotions in different parts of our bodies, right, Kristina?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people will carry that tension and emotional stagnation in their shoulders, some people
Right.
in their hips, some
Or in the
people
jaw.
in their jaw, in their digestive tract, right? Upset stomach when you
Right.
feel anger or stress.
Yes. Thank you. So when we feel overwhelmed, it is very common that we are confused with our emotions, that we don't understand them, or that we don't want to feel them. So that's more natural that we say, I don't want to feel this, and you want to push them aside. And once you do that, pushing one emotion aside, they're just going to resurface again. So the first step would be really to understand your emotions. If you would like to manage your emotions better, it's best to understand them first. Emotions impact us on so many different levels. I will get back to the PowerPoint again, because I would like to refer to one of the greatest emotional intelligence scientists, Dr. Mark Brackett, who is a researcher at Yale University on emotional intelligence. He says that emotions impact us on many different levels, let's say cognitive level and memory. So now if you're listening to us, see that for yourself. Try to assess how your emotional state right now, at this moment, is impacting your learning or your focus on what we're talking about. Are you bored? Are you stressed? Are you nervous? How are you feeling? And how is that impacting your learning right now? We all know that emotions have a great cause and impact on our physical and mental health. Kristina mentioned some of that already. But we have a lot of data that emotions do impact our performance. And think, when was the last time when you felt that you were creative and that you were performing well? How were you feeling at that time? Did you feel more of those pleasant emotions or unpleasant ones? If you would really like to develop your emotional intelligence vocabulary, there is one tool that I like to work with and to show you, and it is Dr. Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions. Now you can see it right now, and what I would like to do is the next couple of minutes to take you through this wheel so that you can understand emotions a little bit better than before this webinar. So we know that we experience hundreds and thousands of emotions each day. And there are thousands of emotions, dozens of thousands of emotions. Some researchers say 34,000 emotions that we experience. But don't be overwhelmed by it right now, because this is not what we're going to talk about. And in order to be able to manage your emotions and to understand them, it would be good to know at least the 8 core basic emotions. And these are the ones that you can see on the screen right now. As per Dr. Plutchik, these are joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, and anticipation. So these would be 8 core emotions, out of which others are developed. Now, if you look at the wheel itself, you will notice them in this circle here. And I believe that you can spot them already. So if you start from joy, from the yellow one, you will see that in this flower of emotions, apart from these 8 core emotions, there are other next to them and in between of them. So the easiest way to understand this concept is to start with the 8 core emotions and see their intensity, first of all. Begin from the one part of the flower. If you choose to start from joy, then you will notice that intensity of this emotion changes from serenity to ecstasy. The lower intensity of this emotion would be serenity, and the stronger experience of joy would be ecstasy. If we talk about trust, you can see the same. We don't move into trust sometimes immediately. We go from acceptance to trust to admiration. I'm not sure if you've ever noticed, but what you can see opposite of these emotions is what we think of them as the opposite emotions. So from trust, you can go to disgust. And I don't know if you've ever had experience with someone in your life that you moved from the emotion of trust to disgust, or if you can relate how your trust level shifted. Think about it. Well, think about anger. A lot of people are not aware that fear is the opposite emotion. And as we said, we rarely feel one emotion at a time. So emotions are really complex, but this wheel could possibly help you understand your emotions. And if you look what's in between of this flower here, you can see that joy and trust that are next to each other create love. Trust and fear would create submission, and so on. And as I mentioned previously, all these emotions, they're telling us something. We cannot control whether we experience them, but what we can control is how we respond to certain emotions. So if you feel joy, similarly to joy, there is being pleased and excited. And what is joy telling you? Joy is telling you that things are going well in your life, right? When you feel joy, you feel that things are going okay. And how can joy help you? Well, it sparks your creativity, connection. It gives you energy that you can move on to whatever you want to accomplish. How about fear? The message behind fear is that something or someone, something you care about, is at risk. So it's pushing you to protect either yourself, either your loved ones, to protect what you care about. Sadness is telling you that something that you care about is going away and you feel loss. Now, the message behind of sadness could be to focus on what's important to you by assessing, is it a true loss or not? To understand what exactly do you feel that you're being at loss here. This is where you can start learning about your emotions. And your overall emotional intelligence ability is learned skill. Luckily, we can learn about these skills. We can learn about emotions to understand them. And here are some competencies that could help you understand your emotional intelligence better. So in the model of the 6 seconds emotional intelligence network, we work with a variety of assessments and reports how to assess your current emotional intelligence skills. And there are a couple of competencies, 8 competencies that you can see here that can be measured to see how are you doing right now? How are you using your emotions? What are you doing with them? How are they impacting your relationships, your decisions, your motivation? How are you connecting it with other people, and how are you connecting it with everything that you do? Basically, it's the model that is called the KCG model, which says, know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself. What does it mean? To first understand your emotions, what you do in your life. Then is the second part to understand how are you doing things? How are you managing your emotions? How are you doing things? And the third part is to understand the reasons behind your emotions. Why are you doing things? Because we say emotions drive people and people drive performance. So this would be shortly on the importance of emotions and competencies of emotional intelligence that can be assessed right now. And I will stop sharing my PowerPoint here because I would like to talk to Kristina right now.
Okay. Thank you, Anna, for that portion on emotions and the basic core emotions. And there is definitely some overlap with the traditional Chinese medicine and the 5-element theory. The difference is that we're working with the 5 core emotions because we have the 5 core elements, and each of the elements are attributed specific emotions, organs, colors, direction. There's a lot that goes into 5-element theory. Today, we're really discussing the 5-element theory as it relates to the emotional affects in our human bodies. And so we start by looking at the wood element, which generates fire. The fire element will generate earth. Earth will generate metal, and metal will generate water. And that is the generation cycle. If you see on the left side of the slide, it says generating interaction. Now, we also have the overcoming interaction, which means, for instance, the water would be the grandmother of fire, and we can use water to constrain fire. And that makes total sense if you think about elements in nature in general. Now, going to look at specific elements and which emotions are assigned and attributed to them, we'll start with the wood element. And so the wood element, it governs the liver and gallbladder organs and channels. And the emotion associated with the wood element is anger. Now, like Anna said previously, emotions are not innately good or bad. They just are. They exist. We should be aware of them, and we should allow emotions to move through our body and not suppress them, or even worse, repress them. By suppressing or repressing our emotions, they can actually throw our internal organs out of balance. So on the right side of this slide, even you do not need to read what's next to the diagram, but if you just look at the pathway of the liver channel, this is the liver channel going from the big toe up the medial or inner portion of the leg. It circumcises around the testicles or the genital area in female and males, and it goes into the organ liver, but it also affects our stomach. As you see, a part of this channel goes into the stomach. So that tells you when you're angry and you have an upset stomach, right? It is your wood element and liver energy out of balance actually dominating your earth element. So the intricacies and the relationship between the elements and our emotions can be seen here just in this first slide. Now, going to the next element, which is fire, we're looking at joy. And here we're looking at the organs heart and small intestines, as well as the channels. So here again, you can see the channel pathway of the heart channel, and it's going from the pinky finger, right? And it goes into the chest. In reality, the flow of energy is actually from the chest into the armpit, which is the first point of this channel, and the end point of the channel is on the pinky finger. So each of the channels actually have directionality to the flow of energy. And sometimes these energy flows are out of balance due to us living life, interacting with other people, right? Maybe watching a comedy show, which makes you feel joyful. It goes straight into the heart, right? We can experience emotions in different ways. And like Anna mentioned again earlier, going into different areas of the body to feel those feelings and emotions is very important, instead of being reactive and feeling down because we have a certain emotion like anger. You may think joy is better than anger, but everything has its place and time. And sometimes we get angry for a reason, and that's okay. We need to acknowledge those emotions, just like joy. It seems like such a positive emotion, but too much joy can lead to mania and erratic behavior.
Mm.
So everything has its extremes in its way, right?
Right. And Kristina, since you are speaking about anger, what I didn't mention and what I think would be important to say here, what's the message behind anger? What's the message? Kristina just said that every emotion has the reason. Every emotion has a purpose to exist and that we feel them. There is no good or bad emotion. I know we are repeating ourselves now, but it's really crucial to understand that every emotion has a purpose. Now we are talking about anger. What is anger telling you? It's telling you that something is on the way, that you see things as something is preventing you from reaching your goal. Something is blocking your way. And anger is such a powerful emotion. Even if you try to suppress it, have you tried it? How well did it go? How well did it end? I mean, it's even if you manage to suppress anger for a while, it would probably resurface again, maybe even stronger if you try to, do that and ignore it. But it is a powerful emotion that you can use in different way that Kristina just mentioned, and I'm just going to mention this as well. Anger can motivate us to act positively because it can energize you to break through a barrier. It can energize you to change something. It's giving you energy. It's a really strong emotion. So you can use it to act positively, let's say to protect yourself or to protect your boundaries in any other way where you feel angry about.
Absolutely. And some of the actual practical ways in everyday life that you can use to transform the emotion of anger, because it's good to transform emotions through actions, right? And acknowledging and labeling them. I love to tell people, you know what, one of the best ways to let that anger out is either by exercising or by doing chores, like vigorously scrubbing your floors, doing dishes, all the things you don't have the energy for usually, or that you don't want to do. Use that anger and transform it by moving your body. That is really one of the great practical ways to transmute your emotional state.
True, absolutely. I mean, you can try to run it off or to, you will feel certain relief when you do that and you want to transform your mood, especially when we're talking about anger. However, just what's important here is to know, yes, you can express it in better ways, right? When you're not going to be harming yourself or anybody else around you, right? Or to damage your relationships with somebody. However, if you really don't have an intention to sit and really do some self-reflection on why you felt angry in the first place, what is it that's causing you to feel anger, then just don't bother of running it off or jogging your floors, because it's going to come again. And this is why we are talking about of the real importance of understanding your emotions. Why do you feel that? Because they do have a reason. So don't ignore those. Thank you, Kristina.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to say that in working with patients, I see a lot of patterns where people are using movement as a crutch. So like extreme runners, right? People who just run to really escape the emotions. I'm talking about using it to transform it and not escape it. So you do have to sit with it, which belongs to the water element, and we'll get to that at the end of the presentation. So this was really the joy belonging to the fire element and the heart. I think most people can relate that it feels warm and fuzzy inside your chest when you feel joy and happiness, even for yourself or for other people. There's even better feeling when you feel that for others, not just for yourself, right? And so the fire creates the earth element. And so we're looking at the earth element that governs the spleen and the stomach organs and channels, which in Chinese medicine deal with the digestive tract. Now, as far as the emotion associated with this element, it is the worry, the pensiveness, overthinking. And it makes sense if you think of someone who is earthly, motherly, kind of like nurturing type of a person. That's what earth element embodies. And what are usually loving, caring, nurturing type of mothers? In their mind, they're constantly worrying about their children. They're constantly worrying about something. Now, I'm giving a simple example of a mother. This can, of course, translate to a corporate organization where the CEO is constantly worried about, how are we going to hit the next marks and the next marks and hit the 1 million and 3 millions, etc. So it's really looking at, who are you as a person? Is this your constitution? Are you naturally the type of person that worries? Or is this just a little imbalance because of the life that you've chosen? Because our lifestyle can definitely trigger specific emotional imbalances within us. If someone already had a weak earth element constitution and chose a job where they constantly need to worry about others or numbers or this or that, that person may get more and more depleted in their earth element, which can affect their digestive system. So again, we're going back to how the emotions affect the physical body, right? So a lot of people that are in high power functioning jobs have issues with their bowels, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, Crohn's disease. These are all issues of the digestive tract, where our mind actually affects our body. And going from the earth element, we move to the metal. The metal element is associated with the lungs and the large intestines, organs and channels. And so when you look at this pathway of the lung channel, you can see that the internal pathways of the lung channel affect both the lungs and the large intestine, as well as the stomach. Anytime you see that the channel crosses over specific organs, it affects those organs as well. So metal element is attributed the emotion of sadness. Even deeper than sadness would be grief, a loss. Anna mentioned loss earlier on with sadness, right? So usually when you think about sadness, is sadness over losing a loved one, or sadness over ending a relationship. So you go through these stages of sadness and grief and then anger, and you can see how a human being can go through all of these 5 elemental emotions, depending on the stages of the occurrence of the event that caused them to feel that emotion in the first place. And so really by balancing all 5 elements, we are trying to balance all 5 primary emotions that we are dealing with. And from them, then we are reverberating and spreading more positive emotions out there, not negating the negative aspects of them as well. And finally, we're looking at the water element, which deals with the kidneys and the urinary bladder, organs and channels, and the emotion is fear. And so again, if you take a look at the pathway of the kidney meridian, which starts at the bottom of the foot, runs on the inner aspect of the leg, and it goes over the abdomen into the chest, internal pathways will affect the low back and the spine, as well as the kidney organs. But the internal pathways will also affect the heart, the lungs, and the liver. So nourishing our water element and our kidney energy is very important. And so people who have fears and phobias are constantly either depleting their water element and their kidney energy, or it's because they constitutionally had already the weakness within that elemental structure. So you can see people who have pronounced low back pain, knee pain, maybe even incontinence, right? Added to the mix, we usually say we need to balance the water elements, strengthen the kidneys, so they are also less prone to pain in those areas, but also on an emotional level, so they're not so fearful about moving in life. A lot of people with knee pain and back pain have limited mobility, right? They can't move as much. So there is association of fear. I'm fearful of even moving because it causes me pain. So it's this enchanted circle of emotional imbalance causing physical imbalance and vice versa. And so they're very, very tightly connected. And there you have it, really, from the aspect of 5 elements, you can see how our emotions affect the physical body and why it's really important to understand these basic emotions, be aware of them, understand why we're feeling them, and then we can better address our physical health as well.
Thank you, Kristina. Thank you. Well,
yeah, I wanted to, before we wrap it up and before you want to add anything else, I wanted us to go through this experience, a little meditative experience, where you can close your eyes and I'll just guide you step by step through the body and asking you how you're feeling as you send this healing white light through the body. Okay, so let's take the next few moments together. Just sit nice and tall wherever you are. Ground down through your sitting bones and lengthen out through your spine, lifting through the crown of the head as if there is someone lifting you up gently. And close your eyes and take a deep breath in and notice if the breath is shallow or if it's expanding your abdomen as well. And if it's not, don't force it. Just notice how deep is your breath right now. And if it's a little bit more shallow and you're breathing just into your chest, just be aware of that. And now I want you to bring your awareness to the top of your head. And I want you to visualize a little pearl of light sitting right there on top of your head. I want you to bring that light into your body like a river flowing through your body and feel like a warm, fuzzy feeling. This river flowing through the brain, through your jaw, through your throat. See this river of white healing light going through your chest, through your lungs and your heart, into your abdomen, into your stomach, your spleen, your liver and gallbladder on the right side. Send the light into your intestines and into your kidneys in the back. And just notice how this feels. And then I want you to feel and try to remember a joyful scene from your life, something you've experienced before. And when you're thinking of this event, just notice, where are you feeling it in your body? Is it in your heart? Is it in your chest? And then I want you to remember an event where you felt a little bit of fear. And just recall that moment. Don't judge it. And just notice, as you are there right now, experiencing that event in your mind, where do you feel that fear? Where in the body? Is it in your low back? Is it in your spine? Is it in your bones? Good. And I'm not going to guide you through every single emotion right now, but this is just an example of how you can guide yourself through an experience of emotions in your body. So take another deep breath in and then empty out. And as you exhale, just let go of all of the emotions you may be feeling, creating an empty vessel for you to fill up with whatever your needs are. Because ultimately, all the emotions are either our needs being met and us feeling happy and content, or our needs not being met and us feeling upset, annoyed, angered, etc. And so releasing all of that, taking in another breath of joy and happiness in your heart. Bring your hands to your chest, one hand over the other. Create a big smile and smile inside your heart and see your heart smiling to yourself and to the world. And thank yourself for having the ability to feel all of the emotions, because that's what makes us human. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristina, for this wonderful exercise doing with us. I know it might take some people to slowly come back to the full presence. And while they're doing so, thank you for this experience, taking us to experience emotions and connect them with our minds and bodies, because this is what Kristina just did for us, guiding us through this. So emotions are neither good or bad. Think of them as wholeness, because they are in our minds and in our bodies. And there is clear mind-body connection, and Kristina tried to explain that through 5 elements as well, and how you can understand further this mind-body connection. There is a lot more that we can both share with you, but for today, this is what we decided to share with you. And if you would like to know more about our work or to get in touch with us, Kristina will share some details on that too. If you would like to learn more about your emotions or to do an emotional intelligence assessment, I did one with Kristina a few months ago. And this is a very useful tool for coaching at the beginning of the coaching that I do with my clients, just to see where your strengths are, how you can better use those skills to achieve your goals in your personal or professional life, whatever that it is, right? So you can contact me, and you can see the email right here in the screen. And for Kristina, I think you have the next slide.
And first of all, I love the EQ assessment that I did with you. It was really revealing of, you know, the things that I set as expectations, right, of myself, of course, and then because of the expectations I set on myself, I set them for others as well. So it was very good to do that and assess. But as far as my work, if you want to balance your emotions according to the 5-element theory, you can obviously always do the 5-element questionnaire and find out which are some of your predominant elements, because it will also give you an idea of how to really understand your emotions, and whether those emotions are due to constitutional reasons, right? You're just born that way, or is it lifestyle and habits and conditioning that cause imbalances in the 5 elements and your emotional affects? So feel free to book a consultation with me through my website, or you can find my email on there, and all the things that I do, including my programs and education and meditation. And I'm very, very happy that we were both able to share this with you, audience, and and help you understand emotions, emotional intelligence a little bit more, and how you can apply it in your everyday life for your health and well-being. But also, really, as Ana specializes in working with corporations and teaching others in the workplace how to apply emotional intelligence, right? So thank you so much, Ana.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Kristina, today, and again learning about the TCM and emotions. And I hope that it was useful to those of you who are looking to get some insights about how you can deal with your emotions on a daily basis from whichever angle that worked for you. And please connect with us online on our social medias, LinkedIn, through our websites, and stay in touch. Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.